I'm Chloe Sky. Right now I'm going through a depression period. I want to talk about Stuart Dooley from King of the Hill. When I was a kid, I got bullied a whole bunch. I got bullied for my body, my braces, my opinions, my sexuality, etc. Over time, I learned the difference between someone who was just being a douche, someone who didn't understand, and then someone who was projecting because of some underlying pain. Since learning that, I unfortunately cannot turn it off. Even when I watch the simplified trope of a bully in a cartoon, my brain is trying to look deeper until I either come up with a tangible explanation or it turns into scrambled eggs. I usually sleuth through the episodes, and it'll be the plot of one where it's explored and maybe resolved. I have 2 examples of Zeke from Bob's Burgers, who was a bully because his family moved around a lot, and he had poor impulse control. And then I have another example of a character named Charles from Full House, who has a quippy personality and pulls Stephanie's pigtails a bit, and does so due to the stress of the abuse from his father, which Stephanie helped resolve. Then we have the case of Dooley. This youth is just a side character in one of my favorite cartoons, a show I have gained a lot of appreciation for, being a resident of the South. And being that side character, he's never really looked into much further. He is a bully of few words and a classmate of Bobby Hill's, usually delivering comedic relief with a gate of short, deeply voiced sentences. But as I look deeper into this multifaceted gem, I see a depiction of a young teenager going through some internalized stress. It's all I can think about right now, so now I'm going to tell you. We are first introduced to Dooley early on in the series as of episode 2, which is 1 episode away from Bobby Hill's birthday. That just helps me establish a better timeline, but anyway. He starts by addressing the fact that Bobby's mom, Peggy, is about to teach their sex education class, which Bobby replies to him with a solid "so," because he is a wonderful boy. And Dooley goes on to remind the next nearest child of his father's loss of a job. So, right off the bat, Dooley is not a nice child. He's not very friendly. He is a butt. He is a butt. He is blunt. He does not pick up well on social cues. A little jabble and a dabble into bully territory. I will say in an early season he does pants Peggy Hill, which is a big no-no in my book, but then immediately gets spanked, which is also a big no-no in my book. More than a dabble into being a bully. We can establish that before my point. Dooley has a bully personality and does things for jokes at the expense of others. But that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the development of the side character and try to recognize what was probably going on in his life, because for some reason, I care. And I think he makes a solid example of real world scenarios. I don't think it's okay to bully, but as an adult who has had her own experiences, I do think most childhood bullies do have some nuance. I want to talk first about season 7, episode 1. This is the episode where Bobby gets invited to a boys-girl middle school sleepover party, which, that's a horrible idea. Please don't do that. There's this one character of a more enthusiastic, popular personality, and her name is Serena Shaw, and her parents are the edgiest in the group, and therefore she has to be the edgiest child. She controls the timer when playing 7 Minutes in Heaven, and by also stating that the closet will be heaven and I will be God. She seems to control who goes in and out of the closet to smooch, being herself and Dooley. Mind you, these kids are like 13, 14, which is like, this is a totally normal age of exploration. That's around puberty, you learn stuff, it happens, you know. But based on the details of the episode, I would venture to say that Serena Shaw had at least more experience in this department than Dooley did, due to the way she acted and just how she seemed to take reins on the whole situation. Especially with the fact that there were 0 adults in the house. When she steps out of the closet, Dooley simply states, "I want to go home." He is shirtless, wearing a coat that isn't his, coming out of a closet with a girl he just met. This is supposed to be a joke, haha, But Dooley is clearly very uncomfortable. And this is where I believe this character begins a harsh emotional decline that crescendos all the way up into season 12. I know, that is quite a jump. I mean, not really for Dooley, because between the time he is trapped in a closet with an overzealous girl and when this young man runs away from home, he is only seen 18 times. Another 3 times in this season, and then 6 times in 8, 2 in 9, 3 times in 10, twice in 11, and then twice before the big episode. Interesting fact, between the party and running away, there's an episode where Bobby started to protest because of a girl, and when he went to his father Hank for help, Hank explained what jail was. At the end of that episode, Dooley comes back up to Bobby's dad and says, "Tell me more about jail," as though it was either a positive idea in his mind, or that is already his own expectation of where he thinks he's going to end up. Just a little thoughtlet of detail for you, to express why I could somehow look so deeply into this. Now, despite the jump and a plethora of other minute details I could pick apart in explanation, in the season 12 episode I'm bringing up, Dooley does only run away briefly, technically twice. But that plot point drives the episode and makes me question why. What's going on at home for Stuart Dooley that makes him think his best option is to run away from home and leave? In the episode by the name of Behind Closed Doors, we learn that Dooley actually has a baby sister, and I mean like a literal baby, not even like a year-old baby, I'm assuming. For I believe only like the 3rd time we see Dooley's parents for more than just a second, and they actually have a little dialogue. And if I do a little cartoon magic math, I can deduce that the timeline relating to from the time that Dooley was trapped in the closet at the party, his mother was just likely about to be or had already become with child. Now, Dooley is 14. It's got to be quite an experience for that type of age difference. And then his mother's pregnancy, as well as his younger sibling's arrival, took a lot of attention away from Dooley's sake. I mean, presumably he was the only child for his first 14 years. So, kind of a dramatic change. I felt Dooley was in a situation where a lot of youths his age find themselves, without anyone to talk to and nowhere to go, and with the added notion of an additional Dooley child. Kids these days do like to go on the internet for help, but that wasn't his option available at the time. His option was to run away. Even when he returns, the ease in which he makes himself disappear again, a simple bribe of money, makes me question if he has something bigger already on his mind, like another plan. Confession time. When I was a young teenager, even a year or so older than Dooley is, me and my at the time boyfriend, one of those kids who wore a foxtail and barked at people, made a plan to run away. We made food packs, I was saving up to get a car, and we ultimately disagreed about our destination. So the whole thing thankfully blew up, and I say thankfully because that would have been stupid. I don't think Dooley was in any real danger at the time, and I can't say that I was either, but we were both being neglected in the attention department whilst displaying dangerous behavior. And running away from home with no money and a limited amount of gas and food is a dumb idea that a teenager such as my past self would have, and seems like a dumb idea that a teenager such as Dooley would also have. However, in Dooley's case, this all began with having something that he wanted to share and not having the comfortable space to share it. Which has brought me back to the main point that I've been trying to make all along. Innocence lost and going unnoticed will become internalized. And in the same way it's displayed in the side character, it occurs all too commonly in real life with real children. I will say at the top, for anyone who is or knows an adolescent who could use this information, you do not have to spare even your comfort for somebody's pushiness or eagerness. In a situation like Dooley's, it doesn't matter what the social norms are if you feel like you want to go home. In a sense, wrap your arms around your body and push your way out of that closet if you even have the inkling that you don't want to be there. What others might think is irrelevant when a fun thing is no longer fun. And if you or someone you know feel like you find yourself in a situation like Dooley's and you feel like you have no one to talk to, my first suggestion is a parent or guardian. But if you can't tell them for a myriad of reasons, school counselors are trained in this department to handle and kind of navigate such information. Be mindful that they might reach out to your parents for you. That's just based on my own experience from what I told counselors back in my school days. And then my third suggestion is a good friend, one whom you think might do the grunt work for you in this case by telling their parents or school counselor on your behalf. What I can offer of the most absolute value is don't carry such a pain all by yourself, because that is very heavy for a young person to hold on to. Anyway, what I would have hoped happened for Dooley is that he returned home and he and his parents had a discussion about their lack of attention, and the reason on their part was likely because of the new baby. And I would like to recognize that it's not inherently a bad thing, as babies do need more attention. But the promise I hope that they would make to Dooley is to openly listen about what's going on in his teenage life and offer him some form of guidance. Because he is a baby at being a teenager and still has a plethora of feelings to navigate. Often teenagers, especially the younger boy teenager, are treated like such experiences are supposed to happen, and one is a loser if they don't let them happen. And that's something that needs to have a cork put in it, because it results in dangerous behavior, running away, lashing out, going to unsafe environments for help. I think the more attention that we can bring to situations like these and exploring the narrative that it's okay to leave any space that you don't want to be in is necessary for all of us who have been teenagers to do better for the current teenagers. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Kind of like a mostly fictional related rant. More like something that's just always simmering in the back of my mind. Thanks for listening in. Feel free to like and subscribe, comment if that's your thing. If you have a Dooley in your life going through a rough time, tell them that you care. If you're also going through a depression period, go off. You're doing great. I see you. I've been Chloe Sky, and I love you. I'm gonna go calm down with some Stardew Valley. Okay. Bye. Mwah.